Lots of options. I think the number one thing to remember is have conversations with the team, have the team have conversations with the team, learn the reasons why rates change and increase, figure out some role play you can do, use some of these scripts, visit our website. We have virtual training, online training, self-paced training, the whole shebang. We have all kinds of different options. Hey guys, Stephen Harrington Dakota, the Diva of Insurance here with my agency BFF, Miss Therese today. Say hello, Therese. Therese has been our blog buddy for just about every blog this month, I think. I don't know one she hasn't been on. So I feel very special that she agreed to be on mine as well today. We're going to talk a little bit about increasing rate and scripts for independent agents and just kind of talk through some of those bullet points. We have lots of role play available. We've done so many videos on this, lots of scripts, lots of things. We just want to put it all in one quick little place that you could access it and work on teaching your team how to be ridiculously amazing. What do you think, Therese?
I think we are going to talk about this until we are tired of it, which we can never be tired of it because it's what we do every day. We have to learn how to answer these calls. And if one video doesn't catch their attention, then maybe this one will.
Do we think that rate increases are going to stop anytime soon and rates are going to go way back down?
No. Now, I can say that when I first started in insurance, I got this report that actually told you whether their insurance was going up or down. And oftentimes there were some on there that I could call and say, hey, your insurance is going down. But now that very rarely happens unless they have a ticket or accident that falls off.
I crack up thinking about that because we used to call, there was a carrier we used to call and be like, hey, can we get our 60-day list? And the marketing rep would send it to us before the renewals went out because they would already know what the rates were going to be so that we could be a little more proactive with them.
Right.
So tip number one, surprise, it's not in the blog, but it's kind of a bonus. Reach out to your carriers and see if you can get advance notice of increases or decreases.
Well, and a lot of captive agents got used to getting that list all the time, that they could just go into the system, grab the list, and they'd have it. But now that they're independent agents, they have to get it from the carrier. They can't go in their system and get it anymore. So they do have to do a little bit more digging to get the list they need, but it's out there and it's possible.
So one of the other things we talk about is proactive versus reactive. Proactive meaning we have a plan that we're following to reach out to customers, have conversations either about the rate or before the rate hits. Reactive is we just put our head in the sand, pretend like it's not going to happen, and then we freak out when the customer calls.
Hello. Oh no. Oh no. Can you hold, please? They're calling about rate. What do I do?
What do I do? Well, I think we should role play and talk through it and get comfortable with the conversation because it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So One of the things that we love to point out is gaining control of the call. And I think Therese is really good about this. Tell us some tips and tricks on how to get control of a call.
Well, first of all, you have to answer appropriately. Good afternoon. This is Therese at Agency Performance Partners. How can I help you today? Make sure you're smiling. Make sure you have a good greeting. Try to get everybody in the agency to kind of answer with the similar greeting. So it's kind of a process and everybody's, answering uniformly so they know where they're calling, especially if you have more than one office. You want to make sure that you let them know which office it is. Now, you may get where they call in and it bounces to different offices. I was at an agency that did that. So if you answer with, hey, this is the so-and-so city office, and it's not the office they're used to, that may cause problems. So make sure that you've talked with your team on what the greeting will be. If you don't want them to know which office people are in, then just, good morning, this is Therese with Agency Performance Partners. How can I help you today? Or how can I make this the best call of your day?
One of the things I used to love to do is because we had a lot of locations and I would just be backing people up when they were on vacation. And we had some customers that were very sensitive to certain locations. I would answer the phone and be like, hey, it's Stephen in beautiful Washington State. What can I do for you today? They were like, where are you? I'm like, I'm in Washington, just like you. And that's you're on vacation. And then it kind of threw them off because they were getting ready to get mad that I wasn't in a specific city, even though I was licensed for the entire state.
Yep.
And we were all remote, so it didn't really matter. But sometimes just adding in that little extra fact or something about yourself can help you regain control of the call.
Well, and a lot of businesses are catching on to this. And even if the person is somewhere else, they're saying they're in, like a lot of virtual assistants, they'll say, what agency it is and try not to tell them where it is. But sometimes they'll answer with from Chicago, Illinois, to just get people to feel like, hey, they are really in the United States. I've actually had that happen. How many times have you called a company, like a plumber, electrician, a cell phone carrier, and you're mad and you want to stay mad, but the way they answer the phone and how nice they are to you makes you forget that you were mad? That is a cool trick.
I still love the internet company that had upset me greatly. I went through 3 different texts that kept having me unplug and plug back in and do this and blow on that and all these different things. And magically, all of a sudden, I get to the next level, and I was ready to lose my ish and be like, and scream at somebody. And you're like, hey, this is Sarah from Atlanta, and I just want to let you know that I know you've already tried all those things those other texts told you to do, so I'm not going to do the same thing, but I'm going to make sure that I stay on the phone with you until this is solved. Is it okay if we work through this together today? And I was like, shut up. Yes, take my money. Like, just a kind voice that was like, hi, I'm here and I'm a real person and I'm going to help you today. And I know you've had some struggles, but we're going to get to the bottom of it, was all it took for me to change my attitude.
So when we call out to places that are customer service oriented and they do an excellent job at what they're doing, we need to copy it. We need to borrow it. We need to steal it. We need to use it. That, how they make you feel is exactly how you want to make your clients feel. And we've got that wow customer service that we teach. So we teach it. So, we offer that. If you go to the website, you can, take a look at that course. But when you hear somebody doing it right, take notes. Use their information, and I love it when I get who would I have? AT&T, I think, came. I'm not trying to throw out names out there, but different carriers. There's a pizza one. I'm not going to say the name, but I ordered a pizza. After it was delivered, I got one of those little, hey, will you give us a review? And it wasn't 5 stars. It was 5 little pizzas. I'm like, that is adorable. That is so cute. Who does not want to click on 5 pizzas? It was cute. And they have the systems that, Chick-fil-A, same thing. I actually live close to a Chick-fil-A that delivers. They do a similar thing where you get a text message when it's being prepared, and then you get a text message when it's on its way, and then you get another text message when it's been delivered. We need to make sure that we notice those kind of customer service wow experiences so we can find ways to use that in our industry.
I think another thing to think about too is that long, awkward silence. Like, yes, we have to look into things, but as long as we let a customer know ahead of time what's happening, I think it's okay. Right. Same thing with the internet person. She was like, hey, can I verify your contact information? Because if we get disconnected, or if you think we get disconnected and you hang up, I want to be able to get right back a hold of you. And so I verify my contact information. She's like, is there a secondary number I could call you at in case that one doesn't work? I'm like, shut up. She's marking all the boxes today, right? And she's like, hey, I'm going to be taking some notes and working through this and having to chat some other people. So if I'm not talking and you hear my keyboard, it's not that I'm ignoring you. It's I'm trying to solve the problem without keeping you on a dead silent hold. And I was like, oh, okay. And then you hear her like, still typing away, having a good time. But I didn't feel lonely because she told me what was happening.
Right. And we've had some secret shopper calls that we've listened to recently where there was quite a bit of silence when, and we've done some role plays where there was some silence.
My favorite. I don't even know what agency this was.
It choked you up.
It's because I use it as an example all the time. Somebody put somebody on hold and went to lunch, and the person never hung up. They came back from lunch 37 minutes later, and the person was still sitting on hold waiting for them. I was like, or somebody thought they put them on hold and went to the bathroom. They were working from home and they didn't put them on hold. And they're going to the bathroom and yelling at the dog and hooping and hollering. And they come back and the person's like, hey, is everything okay?
Did you just go to the bathroom while you were on?
Like, I know you weren't just helping me because I heard you go to the bathroom and yell at your dog. So be very conscious of what we're doing when we put people on hold. And just know it's okay, but we should be verifying some information.
And then we should just say, how can I help you today? And let them talk.
Yeah.
Use our ears and not our mouths.
Two of these and one of these.
So shh. And then once they complete their conversation or their story, then you summarize it back to them for understanding. Make sure you understand what they say. That's, I was a teacher for 12 years in Guatemala, and that was one of the lessons is always have the kids come back to you with the instructions that you've given them to make sure that they understand exactly what needs to be done. So as an insurance agent, as something that you have to do for them, make sure you're understanding what they're looking for. Because that's important too, to understand, listen to understand.
Another thing we need to do is make sure we're reviewing the account to know why the increase is happening if possible. Sometimes it's just a wacky rate that the state approved and we gave to the client, right? But sometimes we need to really look at it and find out and have the conversation with the client. I love my agent to death. Wonderful, wonderful person. Called me about a $300 a month rate increase on my policy with no solution and no reason why. She freaked out over it and called me. And I'm like, okay, so you only have two carriers, the carrier I'm with and a small regional carrier that doesn't take any boo-boos. And I know we just had an accident and a couple tickets. So what is the solution? Well, we don't have one, but that's $3,600 a year. And I'm like, okay, what are my options? Well, I don't have any. I'm like, okay, well, if we break it down, it's $300 a month, right? Yes, that's excessive. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to pay it. But I have an amazing policy. And I started listing all the benefits and features of my policy that I couldn't get anywhere else. And she's like, oh, I forgot about that. Yes, you have that. I'm like, and they didn't cancel and they offered renewal, right? And she's like, well, yeah. I'm like, can we pay in full and get a discount? So I talked to my agent through my increase and sold myself on keeping it because I knew I couldn't get any, I couldn't get the same type of policy or get the same benefits and features or these things. And I ended up saving several $100s by paying in full. But sometimes we have to think in that way of break it down monthly, talk about the cause. If the client's coming to you mad about a rate increase and you're like, hey, Therese, you just had an at-fault accident where we paid out $42,000 and 2 speeding tickets, and you still got offered renewal. Wouldn't you agree $300 a month is a minimal amount to pay for that exposure? Tell the truth, right? Like, let the client know why it happened, but then say it in a very firm way, like, hey, here's what you did, and here's what happened.
Well, I remember those days when you add a vehicle and the policy has 2 more months before it renews, and you add the car, and the bill for that 1 month is already went through, so there's only 1 more month to pay it, and technically it's 2 months of the car being there, so you have to try to explain that, and then when it renews, it's higher, and you have to explain, okay, so this is the amount it went up for 2 months. You're paying it in a 1 month period, and then when the renewal comes, this is how much you're paying for that car in a 6 month, and it divided it by 6. And you have to explain it so they understand it. And if you know about a rate increase, why not just be proactive and search and look for it ahead of time, figure it out so you can explain it instead of waiting for them to react and call you or praying and hoping that they won't notice.
Because sometimes they notice and just leave before we have the conversation with them.
For sure.
One of the other things that's not necessarily in the scripts, but I love to talk about is getting the customers buy-in to reshop. Like, we need to re-underwrite the account before we reshop it. And one of the things that makes me so angry with agencies is when the team's like, we're so busy. We just do quotes all day. Rates are going crazy. We just do quotes all day. And we're like, okay. And then you call up everybody. Well, no, we only call them if we could save them more than X. I'm like, okay. And of those, how many people call back? Well, 1 or 2. I'm like, so how many quotes are you doing a day? And they're like, 20 quotes. I'm like, how many are you calling? 10. How many callbacks are you getting? 2 or 3?
2.
And how many of those are you closing? 1. I'm like, so you have like a 1 in 20 closing ratio or 1 in 10 closing ratio. And you've upset a whole bunch of people who, because you're not having a conversation. You're like, I can save you some money. Or you're ignoring it and not addressing it still. So lots of things to think about there, right? Where we could be getting the client's buy-in, like, let's ask questions to re-underwrite the policy. Does it qualify for any other market? Is there any other discounts available? What can we do to talk the client through the process and let them know the consequence of reshopping something as well?
Well, and one of the things you mentioned that I really like is you say, talk to them when you respond to the comments. Don't blame them. Say it into a factual manner. So you're not, well, you had 2 tickets and an accident. No, I see, an accident and a violation was added to the account. Find ways to soften that blow, because they know that they had the tickets and accidents and they don't need you to make them feel worse about it. But they do need to understand that those kind of issues will make your policies increase.
Right. So,
there's so many discounts that you can look for and add and cross-sell. And, you mentioned talking about them taking their home somewhere else and them losing the home discount. One of the carriers I was with would take out, if the names didn't match identically, the computer system would take out the home car discount. And so it's good to review that kind of stuff. So 5 years down the road, you say to them, oh, well, yeah, your home car discount was removed. And they're like, well, how long has that been gone? And then they realize it hasn't been on there for 5 years, and they want you to go back 5 years to fix it. So I've seen some of those too. And oh my gosh, those are fun. And they usually end up leaving because they're like, they were overcharging me for 5 years and they won't give me that money back. So you have to be careful if you find those as well. If you find a discount that dropped off, you have to be careful how you express that as well.
What about calling a client excited that their rate was less than the average you're seeing?
That's true.
I love it. No, I actually love it. And
I'm sure you do.
And I've been working with a lot of CSRs lately, right? That are frontline, like they're the first line of defense. And it's kind of like a game now, where we look at, like, we get the downloads and we look and we're like, oh, 30%, 30%, 30%, 20%. And they pick up the phone and they're like, hey, Shannon, I am so excited to reach out to you today. It looks like on average, we're seeing a 30% increase in the agency and yours only went up 20%. Isn't that wonderful? Like, on average, rates are going crazy everywhere, as I'm sure you're aware. And they talk about some reasons why rates increase, but yours is below average. Isn't that great? And they get the client almost excited about the fact their rate went up, but not as much as everybody else. Because in the way they're talking to the client.
It all has to do with your attitude and how you're talking to the clients.
Absolutely. So once that started clicking, now they get so excited to make those calls because they know they still have to call the client that went up 30, 40, 50%. But the 20%, they're like, we don't even, like, literally all I have to do is call them and tell them how excited I am and I'm done, right? We're not talking about discounts. We're not shopping it. We're not anything. The 30, 40, 50%, we're going to re-underwrite and try to look at deductibles, like different options. Or if the client is mad, we'll still look into it. But for the most part, we can win them over. And they think it's the best thing ever because we're excited about their increase.
Well, and we do need to stop automatically reshopping people. We just need to stop. I was in an agency that was our answer. Our answer was, when somebody calls in about a rate increase and they're not happy about their price, we just reshopped it for price. And we've got to stop doing that. In this day and age, we're taking money away from the agency. we're just doing so many things wrong, because I've seen so many rewrites where they forgot all the stuff that was on the old policy. Yeah. And that's an E&O waiting to happen. There's so many grandfathered items on older policies that they can miss.
My policy is grandfathered.
There's, so many things, different cool stuff like accident forgiveness, and, there's some that have pet injury protection and key fob replacement and, rental car reimbursement. There's a ton of them that come with certain things. And when you rewrite it, even if it's the same carrier and you're rewriting it into a new company inside that carrier, you're probably going to miss something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with homeowners, who knows what they have in their yards? Here in North Carolina, you cannot have a junk car in your yard if you're rewriting a policy, and they will find it. If they inspect any of them, it's going to be the one with the junk car in the yard.
Yep.
I can't tell you how many times that happens. So we have to remind the client that they may have to go through, new inspections, and there's new rules, and, they have to go through underwriting all over again. And that's going to be, it could be a struggle, and it's going to take more of their time. And is it really worth how much they're saving by getting it rewritten? It's better to look for discounts, find different ways to keep the current policy.
Absolutely. So again, lots of options. I think the number one thing to remember is have conversations with the team, have the team have conversations with the team, learn the reasons why rates change and increase, figure out some role play you can do, use some of these scripts, visit our website. We have virtual training, online training, self-paced training, the whole shebang. We have all kinds of different options, or just keep listening to our blog because we love to talk to you. So thank you, guys. Let us know what else you need. Thank you, Therese. You've been wonderful as always.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.